Hey everyone, I'm Sam Haymart, and you are tuned in to Growing Older Gays Gay Kitchen Table Talk, episode 51 for the 22nd of March, 2026. An honored 51st episode. We're going to be talking about the demolition this week of the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. We're going to be also talking about an important workplace employment discrimination case for a transgender person that really could affect us all depending on which way it goes. And that is in the Fourth Circuit Appeals Court, and it's on its way up the ladder. And we're also going to be covering a pretty big upcoming event for, well, big fun daddies. So let's get on with it. Now, Gay Kitchen Table Talk is my weekly check-in with you where I tell you what's going on at my kitchen table, as well as the LGBTQ plus kitchen table around the fishbowl that I find myself in. And we always like to start with the daily inspiration, which comes from our social media channels, which are the major 4 food groups: Growing Older Gay on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. We will not be found on the X just because you might have heard that before. And today's daily inspiration is simply this: today I will affirm my worth as a human being and a gay person. It's pretty surface level, but it really is deep. And the reason it's deep and it's important, and while it sounds like a daily affirmation, the reason why it has meaning in my life and today for me is because, we all grew up being bombarded with negativity about who we are. We were attacked. We were bullied. We were made fun of. We had to learn how to adjust and code check and to reevaluate who we are projecting ourselves to be. We had to wear masks. Some of us had to completely lie and stay in the closet. Some of us really developed some negative feelings and self-talk about ourselves when it came to our sexuality. And so we grew up in this sort of fetal position, mentally and spiritually, about who we are, many of us. And so now that we're adults, if we're lucky, we've come out. Have we completely recovered from that? Because we should feel good about being gay. We should feel good about it. There's nothing wrong with being gay, despite what all of those people say, despite all of the stuff we had to go through to get here. When we are with our own tribe and we build connections and relationships with our community, we find that we're good people. We live good lives. And we do good things, not only for our own community, but for the community at large. We have value. We are valid. And we should be proud of who we are. And I know that in my own case, it was a long journey to get there. I'm someone who came out late because I was in the closet until my late 40s because of all of that stuff. So I speak from experience that it takes some people a long time to get to a point where they're not only accepting of who they are, they embrace who they are, but they love who they are. And we should do that. And as someone who's fought the battles for a very long time, hopefully not as long as maybe some of you out there came out early and you had support, and that's wonderful. I need to affirm sometimes my worth as a human being, as a gay person. And many of us do. So there's that. So check in. It is freaking hot here in Phoenix, Arizona. It was 105 yesterday, a record-breaking temperature for the middle of March. And it's 105 again today. I think we're breaking a record. I'm looking out the window right now. It's freaking hot out there. I am dressed in a way that reflects how freaking hot it is. Usually, it doesn't start happening here till, somewhere in the middle of April. Toward the end of April, it starts really getting hot into the hundreds. But boy, it just hit us suddenly. That gets us to the second part of my adventure this week, is that, as we discussed last week in my check-in, I sold my vehicle. I am without a car, and that was intentional for all the reasons we talked about last week. Part of what we talked about last week is it requires that I sort of reevaluate my strategies for getting around. I do not have a brand new press car from a manufacturer to test drive for my other channel this week. I am down to my feet. I am down to public transportation. I'm down to my bicycle, and I'm down to spending the money for a ride share. And today I had to go to the bank and do some business at the bank. And it's a little bit further than a walking distance. I almost didn't really want to spend $10 to $15 either way on a ride share. So I decided to ride my bike. That's what I have my bike for. That really confronted me when I was planning my day out. and when I was going to go and how I was going to do it and how the order of my day was going to go, because it hit me that, oh, it's going to be 105 degrees today. Maybe I should do it first. So I rode my bike to the bank today. It's about 1.5 miles from here. I did it this morning before it got hot. It was still about 90 degrees, but that's plenty bearable. And 105 is bearable too. I've ridden my bike on 100+ degree days plenty of times, but that takes a little bit more preparation than what I wanted to do this morning. So other than that, life is good. And so let's talk about the Pulse nightclub, because this is an event that really hit our community in a big way when it happened back in 2016. And the Pulse nightclub massacre, 49 people lost their lives. The building has been standing there since, and a makeshift memorial was created around the perimeter of that building. And over the years, people have put up posters, there have been flowers, and it's just become a community hotspot for the LGBTQ plus community. And it's something that's been a major part of the lives. The sign still stood, the building still stood, and it was not only a reminder, but it came up in the news last year when the crosswalk, the rainbow crosswalk that was right adjacent to it, had to be covered up. And we talked about that on our podcast because it was protested for weeks. They kept repainting it, and then the police finally came out and, put state troopers right on the spot to arrest anyone trying to paint the rainbow, because it's that dangerous. It's been scheduled for a while that this building was going to be demolished, and in its place will rise a permanent memorial that the city is building. And so it was on the 18th when the demolition started this week, and it was well covered in the media, and it was an emotional moment for the community. They came out, many people came out to watch. And in its place will rise a very nicely built memorial that is well funded by the city and donations and some other grants. This is an event that still touches me pretty heavily today, because as we talked about in the beginning, I didn't come out until I was 47, and that was in 2016. Shortly after this happened, just a few months after this happened, I came out, and this event was one of the last straws in my life that led me to come out, because when this happened, I had to grieve in private, or at least I thought I did. I didn't feel that I could be sad about this, that I could have an opinion about this. When it came on the news and people I knew, my family, friends were around the TV and made comments about, maybe not so good comments about it, I was in company that they didn't go, oh my heavens, that's terrible, right? And I am crying inside, and I'm grieving inside, and I had to fake it and pretend that this didn't bother me. And it was one of the pivotal things that finally brought my boil up to a point where I just finally decided I have to come out, or I'm going to die a miserable person. As someone in our community, like many around the country, many around the world, we were all impacted by this in some way. And so that's why we cover this today, because this is an event that's just as big as Stonewall in a lot of ways, in a different way, but it's just as big, I think. So there is a website that you can go to. It's on the screen. It is pulseorlando.org. It outlines the entire project, its timeline, how it came to be, and it's got the timeline for what's going to be happening in the future. You could even see some renderings of the new memorial that's going to be there. pulseorlando.org. Yeah, very nice thing. So it is a fitting monument to this situation. It's good that where that city is and the community is they're in a place where this didn't just get torn down and up one of McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? So moving on, there's another important thing we have to talk about, and this is a legal alert. The Fourth Circuit Federal Court will be weighing an LGBTQ plus workplace discrimination case regarding a transgender person. Zinski versus Liberty University. It began as a straightforward Title VII claim. Eleanor Zinski alleges that she was fired in 2023 after informing Liberty University, which is a conservative religious college, that she is a transgender woman and is undergoing medical transition. She was fired, even though she wasn't working in a position having anything to do with the religious function of this university. She worked in IT in a back office someplace. She was fired because she informed them that she was transitioning. This week, the Federal Appeals Court in Richmond, Virginia, the Fourth Circuit, heard the case where Liberty University wants to invoke its religious rights, its religious beliefs, to fire a transgender employee. On the other hand, her lawsuit alleges that her termination violated Title VII's prohibition on sex discrimination. And what makes this interesting is her case relies on a Supreme Court 2020 decision, Bostock versus Clayton, that Justice Neil Gorsuch himself was the key factor in extending workplace protections to the LGBTQ plus employees nationwide. So one of the most conservative justices on the court was the one who actually put the law in place that Zinski is using to defend herself. Isn't that funny? So this is in an appeals court in the Fourth Circuit right now. This is going to be decided on in the next couple of months. So it's something to watch. I suspect it will ultimately make it to the Supreme Court. The thing I will tell you is even though this is about a transgender person, this affects all of us, because if a religious university wins the right to fire a transgender person because of their religious beliefs, there's nothing stopping them from extending that to gay people or lesbians or anyone that they find who behaves in a way that's against their religion. Under Bostock versus Clayton, they don't have that right. And so this is a case that's testing that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it comes out. Be on the lookout for this in the next couple of months. Now it's time to talk about an event, and a fun one too. Now, because I'm kind of a dad myself, I got a little bit of a dad bod starting to appear. We're talking about DadFest in Cathedral City, California, July 2nd through the 5th, 2026. This is at the CCBC Resort. Their website reads, "Time to show off those dad bods." Western Exposure is the promoter. They do a lot of events down there, and they do some in the Southeast as well. Their DadFest events is a sexy daddy way to celebrate the 4th of July weekend. It's your chance to get some quality pool time in with the dads, bears, and other big friendly men. DJs from Dry Heat will be poolside all weekend, and they're going to be bringing their unique sound to all of the DadFest. And while you're there for the weekend, you can explore CCBC, which is a beautiful gay men's clothing optional resort. There's trails to roam, grassy areas to relax in, dark rooms and outdoor play spaces, and much more, including hot tubs, a steam room, and a cold plunge waterfall. Now, I've been there. We talked about this on previous episodes. This is Nirvana, this place. And in July, it's going to be hot, but, well, hot in a lot of ways, right? Because there's going to be heat, there's going to be daddies, pools, all of that. The important thing is this does sell out. And that's why we're talking about it in March, even though it's in July. So go to their website, WesternXposure.net. That's WesternX, the letter X, exposure.net. And it's on our screen if you're watching us on YouTube. Now's the time to get your passes. Now is the time to reserve your rooms at CCBC Resort. Now, you don't have to stay at the resort to go to this. You can get day passes for this. But if you reserve your room at the resort, it is included. And guess what? Free lunch barbecue every day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So yeah, DadFest. I actually hope to get to this one this year. It is just a month after the IML weekend, but definitely looking forward to this. And now we're going to roll into our viewer comments. In reference to episode 43, our topic was, are you a traveling hoe? And we talked about the phenomenon of going out of town and sort of your hoe level goes way up here from maybe down here when you're at home. And our commenter says this: "Hi Sam, would love if you could highlight some of the various Jacks clubs around the country and the world, giving men access to safer play and lower pressure play for those who might be caught curious, and also social bonding that can come from mutual masturbation. It's also awesome for breaking down age barriers." Yeah, so the Jacks clubs, the bait clubs, have becoming quite a thing in the last few years. And I think post-COVID had a lot to do with this. But there's just been this explosion of clubs in different cities. We have one right here in Phoenix, in fact, that is a club where men go to just sit together and do the deal. No playing in terms of heavier penetration or any of those things. That's off the table in most of these clubs. You are to sit around together. In some clubs, they allow mutual touching, maybe some kissing, but most of the time, it's all about self-actualization, if you know what I'm saying, and doing it together as brothers and bonding in that way. And so, yeah, I agree with you. This is something that I'm interested in. I haven't tried it yet. There's been a few times that they meet weekly here, just within walking distance of where I live, to go check that out. So I intend to check that out at some point in the future, and we'll talk about it because almost every big city and even medium-sized city now has a club, either as a bait club or a Jack's. Palm Springs Jack's is one that's well known, and there's quite a few of them back east as well. So I'm with you, bro. Let's do this. If you'd like to submit a viewer comment, you can do that on our YouTube channel on the appropriate video. Note that on our YouTube channel, we do approve all of our comments manually, so it may not appear right away. And you can also send an email, sam@growingoldergay.com. Sam, that's my name, our website, growingoldergay.com. And please note that if you send a comment or if you drop one on our YouTube channel, it can become pod fodder. It's something we might discuss. So I won't be mentioning names, but it's going to be talked about possibly. So just be aware of that. And just the same, if you would like to submit an event for our events calendar on our website, growingoldergay.com, we have a big events calendar that is getting populated right now with all of the spring and summer events around the nation. Send us an email. There's a contact link on the page, but send me an email direct, sam@growingoldergay.com, and just let's get that calendar filled up so that we know where to go and what to do. You can just look at the calendar and go, oh, right there, let me do that. As always, I invite you to follow us on social media so you can get all of our daily inspirations as well as pictures of what I'm up to and where we're going. All the major 4 food groups, as you can see right there, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. We don't do the X because I've just said that a lot. We don't do the X. Just figure it out. And you can also subscribe to our podcast, which is the highest honor. You can do that anywhere you find your podcasts on all the major platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, I especially ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And when you do that, when you watch us on YouTube, you can see what I'm wearing. And to get to that, today I'm not leathered up, I'm not geared up. I am wearing my Cathedral City Eagle Bar tank top. Now, the bar is brand new. It's so brand new, it's not even open yet. They're selling merch though. I have toured the bar. We talked about it some episodes back. It is under construction right now. It is where the barracks used to be. So it's a landmark location in Cathedral City, which is just outside of Palm Springs. It is going to be a new hub for the leather community in Cathedral City. So I'm giving them a shout out here. I'm wearing their colors. And when they open, I hope that we go down there and do a nice little bonus episode or something like that. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see right there our latest episode. Better yet, do subscribe as I talked about right there on the big round logo. Either way, stay tuned.